Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
In today's podcast, we're covering the live-action adaptation of Monster High.
Or an unreasonable facsimile.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what the heck was this film?
I don't know, but... I don't know. But what they claim is that in this reboot, Clawdeen is a half human, half werewolf teen, which doesn't make sense because all werewolves are half human. That is sent to Monster High to learn how to be a true monster.
Yeah.
However, no one can know that she's really half human. And no one who knows will know watching either how she's half human, half werewolf.
Right, when you're
she's
already
always a werewolf.
Yeah, so that makes no sense. Before we start with that, be sure to like, subscribe, click notifications of future podcasts and we'll pause videos.
And you can see we're confused still.
Yeah.
After what we've seen.
Yeah, this was already getting, not good. It wasn't really off to a good start anyway before it even came out. We were seeing the trailers and promos and descriptions, and it strays so far away from Monster High that it shouldn't even be called Monster High anymore.
It should have been called a whole different series with whole different characters, and that would have been fine.
Right. You would have gladly accepted a new class of monsters, but still stay in the same universe. I'm like, okay, that means the other one graduated, and this is the newer monsters in modern day. That would have been more acceptable than this, because they've been rebooted now twice over, and now they're so overhauled, they are no longer the characters you knew the first time, or the dolls.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this was so un-Monster High-like to me, and I'm sure to you as well, and to probably many of you that watched it. This was a Disney movie. It was on Nickelodeon, but this was a Disney movie. It had the standard Disney formula.
Yes.
They had the musical numbers throughout.
Yeah.
It had a convoluted storyline.
Yep.
It had characters that were really reminiscent of many Disney characters we've seen in their live action movies, such as The Descendants, Camp
Rock.
Yeah, Lemonade
Mountain.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, this is Disney. And it's like someone said, you know what, let's copy Disney's formula and do this, and we'll have a hit. Now, there may be people who are not familiar with the original Monster High franchise that actually see this and it's something new and different to them, and that's okay.
Right.
That's really fine. But for those of us who are fans of the original, who own all the movies, who collect merchandise and so forth, this is worse to me than the G2.
Yes.
Was electrified in Welcome to Monster High.
Yes.
This is worse than that animated version because it doesn't even resemble Monster High. And maybe that was their goal. Now, if that was their goal, they succeeded.
Right. And then, before we get into that, there's also this thing they have advertised. If you watched it live, at the end of the movie, there's another 30 minutes left, and you're thinking, well, what is there? Well, apparently they advertised as a sneak preview at animated Monster High series they're doing at the same time, but it's not based off the movie. It's its own separate universe. So you're going to watch two things at the same time for the same property, but it's two different ways of telling it, two different storylines, two different sets of people, and two different ways to take it. And it's one of the most confusing things to do. They want to cover both bases, but I'm not sure if they clearly they didn't expect the movie to do that well, so the backup was have an entirely different thing separated from the live action movie, so the anime will have a better chance of going somewhere, I guess.
Mm-hmm. True. Well, first off, let's go with the look of this reboot itself. I'm going to call it reimagining. I don't think it's a reboot, it was a reimagining.
Yeah.
The clothes are hideous. What really was great about the original Monster High is the fashion. They were fashionable. They had style. They walked like they were on the catwalk. and just about everything they had looked beautiful. A lot of these clothes and things, they're just, I'm sorry, they're hideous. They're not things that I would want to wear, or my parents to put me in, or I would force my children to wear, or anything else. It doesn't look stylish in any sense of the word. Now, that's just me. For those of you that don't know, I am heavy into fashion and makeup and skincare and fragrance. I'm a fashionista. I love it. None of this is fashionable.
No. And I'm not even into fashion much, but I can tell they didn't even look like they put any time into the costumes. They might show you behind the scenes that they did, but looking at all the background monsters, they're all wearing really color clashing outfits. Half of them look like they're pajamas, and they just walked onto the set and started filming. None of it looks like anything Monster High characters would wear, let alone just teenagers in general. They were so uncoordinated. It seemed like they just didn't even care about that part. All they cared was, let's get this movie done, let's get this out, and all that mattered was the message of the film, which is something you heard 1,000 times.
Now, we've looked at the look of the clothing. We can look at the look of the set. Now, we can say inside of the school, it looks like they tried to duplicate the Monster High that we know.
Yeah.
But the outside of the school itself, it no longer is a castle and huge and fantastic. It looks like it's supposed to be a place in hell now.
Yeah, and they got horns on the school. The place looks like it's in another dimension. I kept thinking it was in another
third eye on the top of the building.
You gotta go through a portal to get to the school because it's hidden from humans. It looks like it's in the nether realm. It really does, and they're just not telling you because they mentioned that hell is canon.
Now here's the question, and I'm so glad you brought that up. If it's hidden from humans, and Clawdeen's dad is human, and her mom, who was werewolf, is gone, how did she find the portal?
I have no idea. They just said, oh, the mom knew about this place. Well, the mom tells the dad, and the dad tells the daughter, and the daughter finds it. That's just too many things to go through. That's too many things.
It wasn't even like a flashback clip of anyone explaining how this knowledge came to them, and she went there. That was a plot hole.
Yes. And then when they go through the portal, it's so uneventful that they make up a song. As she's walking through the portal, she sings. It's like, it must be a long portal or you need to fill in the gap because there was no reason for her to start singing. She hadn't even shown up. And it says she wants to go to the school because Clawdeen wants to feel like she belongs. It's because they took the original story where Frankie was the new girl. And she was 15 days old, and she was sent to Monster High. Well, in here, Clawdeen is just 15 years old, and she wants to go to the school because she can't be around humans. They don't know she's a werewolf, and she's ostracized for that, I guess, on her own. So she wants to go to school with other monsters, so she belongs. But the biggest problem for her now in this school is that she feels like she belongs, but the Monster High people hate humans with a fiery passion. And I mean, they hate humans the entire film. They talk bad about them. They say they're evil, they're conniving, they can't be trusted. They want to wipe some of them out because they've hunted monsters. And it's so jarring because the original Monster High was known by humans. It was not a secret. They lived in a town with humans. They just were a little further away from a human town, and that's it. They were known. They weren't secret. And it was more of a lesson of they were afraid of each other. Monsters were scared of humans. He was scared of monsters. And there was a big, really a misunderstanding. They didn't know the monsters weren't scary. And the monsters didn't know the humans weren't scary. And that whole Ghouls Rule movie was them kind of putting an end to it in the town they were in. In here, all humans are bad. Even though you only have like one nice human, which is Clawdeen's dad, but the way they act like they're almost in the right for doing it, and it makes no sense that this school's supposed to be accepting of everybody except humans, because they make an effort to tell you that they will never accept humans until the end of the movie.
True. So that was kind of a letdown based on the original series, and you can even say based on G2.
Yeah.
I'll give G2 credit, they didn't have that in there.
Yeah.
So this is a reimagining. And that's unfortunate because the message that the creators who reimagined this are saying is that everyone is supposed to be accepted.
Right.
And there is visibility for everyone, and everyone is welcome. Well, that's not true, because in the beginning of the movie, as Rascal said, they said they hate humans.
Right.
And at the end, when they said Clawdeen is welcome, and even though she's half human, well, she's still not human. She's half human.
Right, so you can accept that, pretty much.
Humans are still not permitted or allowed at the school.
Right, so...
And in the G1 and G2 versions, there were human teachers.
Yes.
Or at least, I think there was at least one human teacher.
Right, and
so
one human student.
So then, again, if everyone is welcome and Monster High is for all, then there is a conundrum here, because if you're not accepting humans, then everyone is not welcome, and you don't accept everyone.
Right. Yeah.
So the message, all the variety with a gender identity and nationality and
inclusivity and all that, which is what they heavily advertise.
And all of it is of to no avail if you're gonna say, well, we don't say humans. Well, then you just kind of negated every single thing you profess that this G3 version is about.
Exactly.
And we're not nitpicking. It's the truth.
Yeah. And then on top of it, they also have Monster High is now pretty much like Monster College. It's now a dormitory. So if the monsters are really running from humans, they can actually live at the school now, which is left over from the second incarnation, which you probably would have been okay with if the purpose of it wasn't to just get away from the humans. They pretty much tell you that's what it is. It is an interesting idea to put in, and they add in this version the school's alive, which was kind of hinted at in the first one when it fell apart, when it lost its emblem. So that part is accurate. It's just the way they handled it just made it seem like it didn't fit. They even had a point where the school knew when there was a untrue monster there, and I'm not kidding you, there's a scene where before it was commercial, it oozed blood on the wall, and it was saying it would expel the enemy or the imposter or something, and it was like, this is supposed to be for the kids, and you just had a scary as heck scene right there, and they tell you it's blood. Then they have some really morbid humor in here, but it's supposed to be played like, oh, it's nothing, but it's not played the way the original had it. It actually kind of is.
Well, that's why I say it's a reimagining. I think they want this one to be more edgy, more dark, more giving homage to horror, rather than the friendly version of monsters that was depicted in both the G1 and the G2. That's okay, but it's a reimagining. It's not a reboot. It's a reimagining. It is not either G1 or G2. And we weren't fond of G2,
right?
But compared to this, G2 was better.
Yeah, it was.
Now, that being said, before I continue, I want to stress emphatically that we are not criticizing the performers, the teenagers who did the role.
Right.
We're not criticizing them at all. They can only perform what was written for them.
Right.
For what they were given, they did a good job.
Yes.
And they looked like they were having a great time. Their performance was believable.
Yeah.
So there's no fault with the actors who are performing in it and their roles.
Right.
It's the franchise itself, what the creators have reimagined and decided to depict for the characters and so forth. Now, that being said, the characters, none of the characters are whom you will recall.
No.
They are totally different. Draculaura was the biggest shock for me because she was sweet and small and loving and vegan.
Yeah.
And wanted to just be friendly to everyone. And the first thing we see with this Draculaura is she's a witch. Literally.
Yeah.
She's a witch literally. And she's like, don't touch my stuff. Don't talk to me. I don't have time for you. And it was like, wow. So basically, the reimagining is to make her the opposite of what she was before.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about anything about nationality and so forth. We know that's different. That's fine. But her personality is not Draculaura.
Right.
She isn't Draculaura. She's a reimagining.
Right. And they make a big deal that she loves to use witchcraft, which is a trending thing with the Halloween movies. And they said it's a quote, a horrible human practice. When I said, well, there's a problem because humans don't like when other humans use it because it's not something that is considered a normal practice. It's something monster-rific for this franchise.
Originally, right.
Yeah.
But now,
so now it's reversed, and humans do it, but monsters can't. So that should be something normal for the monsters, not something abnormal. It's like they literally did it in reverse.
Right, especially with some of the other shows and movies you've seen where witches are considered to be, as you said, part of that genre.
Yeah.
And because of the powers they have and ability to change and shapeshift and have familiars and all that,
yeah,
they've just totally made it something that it hasn't been traditionally or mythologically or according to legend. So again, this is a whole reimagining. So I don't want to go on and on with each character and sound like we're being critical. We're not. This is not Monster High. This is, in a nutshell, this is something different. It should have had a different name. The characters should have had different names, and they should have been listed as an entire new class.
Yes.
Different characters. And I think then you would have been able to go, oh, okay, this is like you said, this is a new class. This is all new characters. Okay, let's see what we got.
Yeah.
And then I think it would have been more widely acceptable by not only the OG fans, but also the new fans.
Right.
And they missed out on an opportunity to have a new franchise, a reimagined version that would have been more widely acceptable.
Right.
But because they tell you it's a reboot and it isn't, it's reimagining, and these are not the same characters.
Right.
Or the same universe, now you've got people who are loyal to the OG version not wanting to accept it.
Yeah.
And you've got new ones that are confused.
Mm-hmm.
And you got people who are probably on the fence going, okay, well, I've heard of the original Monster High, and I've seen some of the movies, and I've seen a new one, and I don't know what this is.
Right.
And it just kind of leaves you up in turmoil.
Right.
So we know that regardless of what anyone thinks, they've already created an animated version.
Yeah, totally separate from the live action.
And we'll get to that quickly in a moment because that doesn't make sense. The live action is one thing, but the animated is another. So again, everything's a reimagining. It's not a reboot.
Right.
And that's what it should have been called from the beginning, and that's how I'm going to refer to it.
Right.
So for me, I would give this movie a 2.
Yeah. And again, it's no fault on the actors and actresses in here.
Correct.
They only could perform what they were given, and however they come off in the movie is just based off the scripts they were given.
Now, I do want to say, lastly, on that, Deuce was likable, but he wasn't Deuce.
Yes, and
Clawdeen was likable, but she wasn't Clawdeen.
yes,
Frankie was likable, but she wasn't Frankie, and that was the problem. Some of the characters are likable, and I'll say some because for me, Dracula was not. The way that they had her come out, you know, in the beginning, she wasn't likable, and you had to see to the wait to the end till she helped Clawdeen to see that okay, she's not bad. But why do that? Why not let her be whom she is from the beginning? That's what you claim the movie is all about, accepting people for whom they are, monsters for whom they are, being themselves.
right,
And then again, you keep having things within this movie that contradict the message that you said it had.
right.
So you had some likable characters, but they were not the characters that we recognize.
Right. And last thing to add would be when you had the original run of movies, they have varying from DVD length to maybe less than an hour special you would see. And one thing that you can say about it, each time the message was always the same of be yourself, accepting others, but they did it a different way in every film. There was a different way to accept a different monster or a different person each time. They were accepting ones that had never seen other monsters, ones that didn't know they were monsters. They were accepting humans. They were accepting ones from a city, ones from another planet, ones from another reality. They were showing like how people can still be the same despite them looking different on the outside. And there was always that message in there no matter what species they were talking to about or to. The message was always the same. They would accept everybody, and the adventures they would have would be part of that, and stopping whatever bad guy was in the a movie or a special. So the fact that this movie is claiming that the message is supposed to be stronger in here, but you're not getting it because they still have issues with humans and even other monsters. They tell you there's something wrong with different monsters and they don't trust others. That thing is still in there. So unfortunately, this message doesn't come through because it feels like it's hypocritical. Like, it sounds good for you to think and say, but you're seeing the characters and half of them do not represent the lesson you're trying to teach.
And that's what the original, and I have to say the G2 did well.
Still, yeah.
It did not have that real world element.
Right.
Everyone was acceptable, freaky flaws and all.
Right.
And as you were saying, you didn't have the division. You had one movie, Ghouls Rule, where you had the normies.
Right.
Versus the ghouls.
Right.
So by the end of the movie, everything was resolved.
Right.
And each group understood each other, and it never came up again in any other movie.
Right.
But here you can see that this is going to be an ongoing thing.
Yes.
And that's what's going to make it not enjoyable, because you got enough of this garbage in real life that you don't need it in watching something that's supposed to be enjoyable.
Right.
So quickly, I want to say, here are the things that we're positive about. As we said, there were likable characters, but they weren't some likable characters, but they weren't characters that we recognize.
Right.
They did a good job trying to duplicate the inside of Monster High.
Right.
Because it looked really great. That I can say.
Yes.
It looked really good. It didn't look like you said we had a dormitory or anything, but it did look good in terms of how the original looked. Not the G2 because they ended up having a Drax Castle, but how they went out and really tried to make the setting look really good.
Right.
For this live action. I can say that.
Right.
The third thing is I can say you can see that the actors really look like they were having fun and having a good time being in this movie.
Yeah.
It came through. Even though the script wasn't good and even though there was so much that just wasn't great about it, you could really tell every single one of these people, adults and the teenagers, really seemed to enjoy and be happy about having this opportunity to be a part of something that they really wanted to make good.
Right.
I think that's fantastic. You can't help but be happy when actors enjoy what they do and love what they're doing. So that was really good. The third thing is the movie length was good. You didn't give an hour or half an hour and try to shove everything in quickly.
It was about like 80 something minutes. So.
Right. So that was really good.
Yes.
And the commercials, you had the commercials, but just true to Disney, you had musical performances during those commercials.
Yes.
I think that should have been put, whatever that the songs were conveying should have been put within the movie itself. But again, since they were following the Disney formula, that's not a surprise.
Right.
And last but not least, I do think that having a lot of information available about the characters was a good thing. Even though they're characters we don't recognize, trying to provide a lot of information so people would know them was a good thing for the movie. And those are the positives I can find about it. So, if you watch Monster High, the live action movie, let us know what you think in the comments below. It's fine if you have a totally different opinion. We really want to hear what you think. And if you loved it, tell us why. Let us know what we possibly missed. And let us know why for you this was something that you really enjoyed. If you didn't see it, it's going to air again tomorrow at 6 o'clock on Nickelodeon, so you'll have an opportunity to see it. If you watched the animated version that was half an hour, stay tuned. We'll have a podcast that covers that very quickly sometime later. This is just going to be on the live action movie itself. And if you haven't seen it and you do watch it, come back and let us know what you think as well. Do also let us know, are you fans of the OG or fans of the G2? Do you collect the dolls and merchandising like we do? Do you plan on collecting the new merchandising? Let us know what you think in the comments below. We really can't wait to hear what you have to say.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, animated shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening and joining us and watching our videos. We really appreciate you and your support. And we love to get some of that support and love back to you. If you want us to check out your YouTube channel, tell us the name in the comments below. Better yet, leave a link. We'll click on it, check out your channel. If we don't already follow you, then give you some support by giving you a subscribe as well.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.